Everyone loves a Monday.
It's hot out there,
Yep.
as you can see.
Yep.
Why do we accept extreme weather as the norm? You know, we live in parts of the country where it's incredibly cold and snowy in the winter, and then it's like hot and humid and gross in the summer. And we just sort of accept that like
So it makes you
there's no
feel alive,
alternatives.
Paul.
Does it? It makes me want to roll up in a corner and die, really. But anyway.
But here we are. August, somehow. It's incredible to believe. Let me check the calendar there. Yeah, school starts next week.
That's that's nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
know. I have so many problems with school. You know, the schedule. The big thing that killed me with my kids growing up was as you get older, you go to school earlier, and as you get older, that's when you should be getting up later. And it's just, the system is so backwards. Like high school students should start school at like 11 o'clock in the morning and just finish at dinner time. Like that, it makes no sense making them get up at all hours, especially in the winter here. Like I said, the weather, it's pitch black. They're out there walking to school, driving to school, however they get to school. It's too bad. And then it's August 8th, and your kid is going to school next week. That's not right. There's a month and a half of summer left, or at least a month, over a month.
She does get out like May 31st, so it's
Yeah. Okay.
pick your battles, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was harder for my kids because they went to school after Labor Day. That was always the schedule. So whenever Labor Day was, the next day they went to school, or that Wednesday, I guess. And but they, snow days, right? Which may become a thing of the past because
They already have. That's
yeah. Well, I don't know where they are. I mean, I don't know, Massachusetts, but probably going to be a thing of the past. But they built snow days into the schedule, but there'd be so many snow days that the kids would go to school till the end of June.
Oh yeah, we
was
solved
also
that problem
ridiculous.
here with global warming. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, global warming isn't warming; it's more extreme temperatures. So
yeah.
I think they solved that problem through virtual learning. They finally got that stuff in place. But
Yeah. Either way, here we are Monday. Xbox Series S getting a little bit of a boost, just a little bit.
I use the S every day. I love it.
It's a great box. It's a great box.
Yeah.
They could have.
Love it.
I know this is people be like, nah, they could never. They could have just shipped the Xbox Series S.
And then waited on X for 2-3 years and promoted it and up. Yeah, totally.
Now they definitely would have lost the headlines like, PlayStation's more powerful or whatever. But but it would have been fine.
I know.
People don't want to hear that, but it's probably true.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
So, Google also announced this morning they're suing Sonos. So Sonos has that to wake up to.
That company infuriates me. And by that company, I mean Google. You understand the history of this is Google approached Sonos to license their technology. So Sonos showed them how everything works. And then they said, never mind. And then they just used it all. They stole it. They also lost a major court case. Now they're countersuing Sonos for stuff that they've gotten patents on since then because anyone can get patents. Seriously, Google, license it for frick's sake.
Yep.
This disingenuous statement. So we're going to find this thing. Sonos started an aggressive and misleading campaign against our products at the expense of our shared customers. No.
The courts do not agree with that statement.
Yeah, sorry. That's not what happened. Also, reality doesn't agree with that statement. This is awful because Google has infinite dollars to spend, and they can just keep Sonos mired in court for years. And Sonos does not have infinite dollars to spend. They're a much smaller company, but they're the actual innovator here.
Yep.
And this is exactly why people want to rein in big tech, this kind of behavior. It's completely unacceptable.
Yep. Still waiting for Sonos to come out with a pair of headphones. Not quite sure how they'll work, but
yeah, that's supposed to happen anytime now. I think that's
they leaked a long time ago.
Yeah.
That would I would be highly interested as long as they have noise canceling and they can work with Teams. I don't need the mic, just the headphones part. I would be.
Well, you're going to get the mic.
Yeah, the mic's coming. I know that's coming. But I would need it to work with, because I wear the Sony WXM 3s. Problem is, and this is like the epitome of first world problems, is when I walk to the fridge to refill the water, the connection drops.
Oh my God.
And the music drops. So if
so
I
you're
could
saying
just,
if it was Wi-Fi based, you'd never have to worry about that.
right, but I don't know how they would do the Teams chat, like the audio for Teams and not.
So oddly enough, since we're on this topic, I had a little Sonos problem this weekend where we have kind of a big house and we have a mesh network, and mesh networks don't work well with Sonos. Apparently, whatever. Like ideally, what you can do is give Sonos like a channel on your Wi-Fi network or something. And there are workarounds to that. Like, but the best workaround is to use wires, right? But we don't have wired Ethernet in the house, so
Shocking,
because of
didn't know that.
I know it's weird, right? So we have like two Sonos 5s, the year-old Sonos 5s, out in the sunroom with a sub. And because that's the far corner of the house from where the router thing is, I've tried all different things, to fix connectivity issues. What finally fixed it was I bought something called a Sonos Boost.
Yep.
And what it does is I connect it to one of the other Google Wi-Fi mesh things with a wire, and it creates its own. It basically does what Sonos wants, which is it creates its own little channel for those speakers, and it's not shared with the rest of the Wi-Fi. So that actually solved the problem about a year ago. So last Saturday night or Friday night, whatever night, we sat down to listen to music, and I opened the Sonos app, and I could see a speaker in a bathroom, and I could see the Sonos move, and that was it. And I'm like, I have a lot more speakers than that. And it took me, I unplugged and replugged, and I did all this stuff, and eventually I was like, I could see the beam in the living room too. So it was like basically the speakers I just described plus the two in the kitchen, which are all in kind of the same area of the house. And I was like, I wonder if it's a Sonos Beam Beam, Boost, Beam, whatever it's called. Boost, whatever it's called, Sonos Boost. So I unplugged this little gadget. I had to wait unplug and replug speakers. This kitchen came right back up. There's something about a sub that screws things up, so I had to reconnect the sub as if it was new, and then I had to go back in and reset up like the EQ settings on all three of those speakers. But it worked fine. So it worked fine. So I listened. We listened to music. Checked it again on Sunday. Everything was fine. So this morning, because I can't help myself, I decided to plug the Boost back in, and it all fell apart again. So clearly, something's wrong with that device, which I probably spent like $100 on. It's probably the least expensive Sonos thing I ever bought. But now I got to figure that out. So I don't know. I don't know how normal people handle this stuff. I don't know how like a normal non-technical person would even know to troubleshoot this, because the whole thing goes down, and I can picture people just throwing it all away and being like,
here's how they do this, Paul. They have one Bluetooth speaker that they just carry around. Yeah,
that would actually, right. I have this thing, an affinity for a couple things. Stereo sound, for example, I like a lot. I especially appreciate like really good sound, because I tell you, those two speakers with that sub is like, I'm surprised my neighbors haven't complained. The house like throbs. It gets really loud. It's good. When it works.
Yeah.
Which it usually does, but
usually.
Yeah.
That's about as much as we can expect, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is a Monday. Amazon's buying iRobot if they get allowed to. I think that one.
The internet has reacted in predictable.
Yeah, I don't know about iRobot.
This is the little round things that drive around your house and like
map it
and stuff.
And
map it. Yeah, map it for the government. So when they need to storm your house with the SWAT team, they know exactly where to go.
Yeah, they can license the data from Amazon.
They probably just ask for it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that one's. We'll see.
It's tough. Because they're a platform maker, it's a little tough. But of course, they own. What do they have? Ring, right?
Yeah.
Is that Ring? Ring is them.
Yeah.
I think. And Eero, right? The Wi-Fi mesh networking thing. So I mean, they're kind of involved in this space. They're not just the platform maker. I mean, they Google does the same thing. They have Nest. I'm surprised Apple hasn't made a bigger play in this area, but maybe they will.
They used to have routers, but then they got rid of them.
Yeah. Right. That may change. I mean, they may maybe they'll have like a smart display. I know they're going to have new smart speakers. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. It's just, Amazon is another terrific example of company you cannot trust with infinite dollars, So what are you going to do?
I don't know. Microsoft announced a thing with Unity this morning. It's more of a, hey, we won probably the bid. It's really just Unity's going to use Azure for their cloud service rather than AWS or Google or Oracle or IBM or whoever.
I should have written this up. Maybe I'll still do a little forum post about this. But a reader sent me an interview with John Carmack, and he's one of the co-founders of id Software, right? The programming genius behind the game engines for Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, Rage, et cetera, et cetera. Genius, right? Big guy. He's really into space. He's really into nuclear energy. He's really into something now called AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which he believes is something that's going to happen within the next decade. Self-driving cars, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he's like friends with Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the reason I mention this now is this interview was 5.5 hours long.
Wow.
It's on YouTube. The interviewer is a little on the dry side or whatever, but doesn't add much to it. But fortunately, he doesn't talk too much. So John Carmack just goes, and I watched the entire thing. It's fantastic. But there's an interesting bit right in the middle somewhere where he talks about, it goes through the whole history of things. And one of the things he talked about was direct 3D as opposed to like OpenGL. And he was actually very complimentary to Microsoft. He said it's very typical for Microsoft to come out with something that's a piece of crap, but if they stick with it, it will eventually become really good. So at the time, id supported OpenGL over Direct 3D, whatever it was. But basically, by the time the third or fourth iteration came out, he's like, we just bought enough time to move forward, and now it's just become part of the platform, and it's like the simplest thing in the world. And his take on Microsoft was very interesting. In fact, one of the things he says he's interested in as he gets older is operating system design, and he's like, I could probably spend 10 years just working on low level stuff for operating systems. And I was thinking, man, Microsoft is
where are they at?
Not hiring in this space at all. Like, they're not, but my God, like if this was a thing, like that guy could make such a huge difference to anyone making a platform. Also, because he did the Oculus stuff and was surprisingly complimentary to Meta, which I wouldn't have expected from a guy like him. But anyway, if you care about this stuff, it's got chapters, so you can skip around and just listen to the stuff you care about. It's on YouTube. I'll put up a forum post. It's
sounds
awesome.
interesting.
It's just awesome guy, really smart.
We're awesome guys.
Yeah, we're not that smart though. Well, you might be. I don't know.
Debatable.